welcome to my Carolina homestead. My name is Michelle and today I'm making the most delicious southern style buttermilk biscuits you've ever tasted. I am going to start off by taking out 2.5 cups of flour, and I'm going to make sure that I level those so that they're accurate. So 2.5 cups of flour, and I'm going to put those into a sifter which I've got resting inside of my bowl. And I'm going to sift all of my dry ingredients together, which I will give you the recipe as I go along, and I'll also include it in the description box. Now that I have the flour inside the sifter, I'm going to start to add my leavening ingredients. So I'm going to start with baking powder. I'm going to use 3 teaspoons of baking powder. Next, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm going to add baking soda to the dry mix. You can see that my baking soda is kind of clumpy. So what I'm going to do is add a 1/2 teaspoon, and I'm going to use my leveler to kind of break that up and make sure that it's even, and just scoop that off and put that into the mixture. Next, I'm going to add sugar to this. I'm only going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. You can use up to 1.5 teaspoons. And adding sugar to this is not to sweeten it, it's just to help with browning. But I do not like sweet buttermilk biscuits, so I'm only going to add a 1/2 teaspoon just to assist in the browning when it goes to bake. And then I'm just going to sift all those ingredients together into my bowl. Now I'm adding 1 stick of salted butter. It has to be cold, and what I did was I put mine in the freezer for about 10 minutes before taking it out, and all I'm going to do next is just chop those up into small squares, and then I will cut the squares in half. I want to touch the butter with my hands as little as possible so that I can maintain its temperature. I want it to stay cold. That's very important through this process. Now I'm just adding the cold chopped butter into the dry mixture, and I'm going to use my pastry cutter to combine this. When it's all said and done, I like the size of the butter to be between the size of a pea and a small grape. You can do this with a fork if you don't have a pastry cutter. It does take a little more elbow grease though. Now I'm just pouring a hair over 1 cup of really cold buttermilk into a measuring cup, and I'm going to make a well into my flour mixture, and I'm going to pour that into the flour mixture. The reason I added just a little bit more is because today the air is a little bit dry, and I knew I would need a little extra moisture to get this all to combine. I am using the spatula to combine the ingredients instead of my hands because, again, as I said before, I want to keep that butter solid and I don't want to melt that. So I'm going to do this with as little contact as possible. I did end up adding 1 more splash of buttermilk to really get this to combine. After you do this a couple times, you can kind of visually tell when you need a little more liquid. I live in the South, and most of the time, you know, I can go a little less because there's so much humidity in the air, especially in the summer. But this day I did need to add a little more liquid. So you just kind of have to get an eye for it and a feel for it. And this day I did need to use every bit of that buttermilk. Now I'm just going to dust my surface with a little bit of flour, and I'm going to start to turn this dough out. Now when you're working with biscuit dough, you don't want to overwork it. So I'm going to turn it out onto the countertop, and I'm going to combine that for about 60 seconds until it comes together. You'll see in the end when it comes together, it's just kind of compact and smooth. I just want to keep my hands off of this as little as possible so that I don't melt that butter. You see how it's coming into a nice little kind of a form here. So I'm just pressing it down to the thickness that I want before I start to cut up my biscuits. Now if you want tall biscuits, you need a thicker dough. I like mine to be about a full inch to 1.5 inches when I cut them out. And you can see those nice layers in there. This recipe yielded 7 biscuits per batch. I made 2 batches this day so that I could freeze these for my grandchildren when they come over. They love these biscuits. Preheat your oven at 450 for 10 minutes and then bake your biscuits for 20 minutes. They come out so pretty, brown and buttery every time. These are absolutely delicious, you guys. I really hope you try this recipe, and if you do, please leave me a comment down below and let me know how it turned out. Thank you so much for stopping by my Carolina homestead today and watching this video. If you enjoy this video or videos like this, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell for new videos coming up soon. See you next time, and take care.